back in 1986, first featuring Grand Prix motorcycle racing from 1987 onwards. Circuito de Jerez Ángel Nieto is one of the iconic circuits around anywhere in the world. The 4.42 kilometre circuit, 13 tons, 8 right, 5 left. The hot spots for overtaking turn 1, turn 6, turn 9 and turn 13 make up this iconic circuit. It's Moto2 time now, and it's Alex Screech won the race here last year. Who can do it in 2023? Can it be Carlos Tata, Senna Aegis, or someone else? As we get ready for some Moto2 action here for the Finetwork FIM Junior GP. Lots of great action so far in the Finetwork FIM Junior GP World Championship. We had Junior GP Race 1, we've just had European Talent Cup Race 1, and we've now got Moto 2 on the horizon with myself, Liam Hodgins, and Jack Gorster bringing you all of the action here today. So race number 3 of the day, there's 6 in total, as we have a panoramic view of this iconic circuit here, and one that has been an absolute brilliant racetrack for many, many decades, and one that Jack is still giving us lots of great racing. But lots of great racing we had was back in Valencia as well, and it was Senna Aegis, your favourite for the championship and your championship leader, that got the whole shot from pole position. But Carlos Tata, he had this disastrous start, but eventually got running once again. Long lap penalty for Harrison Voigt, and that dropped him all the way back down the grid as well. But they had Rato making moves into second spot as Carlos Tata fought his way back through the field as well. Making moves was Carlos Tata up the inside of the number 31 rider of Garcia for the fringes of the podium places. Harrison Voigt's disastrous day would come to an end as he slid out from 10th spot, and then it would be Senna Aegis that led away so brilliantly to convert his already gargantuan championship lead into an even bigger one as well, as he scurried away from the chasing pack. Rato was further back, but it would be Senna Aegis that would take victory in Valencia ahead of Rato, who would hold on for career best second spot, and it would be Tata who would finish third. So Tata, we just mentioned there, finishing third after a disastrous start from Valencia, and Carlos Tata to this weekend, Jack, has been absolutely outstanding. Topped every single session so far. He's on pole position after qualifying, and Senna Aegis has got a big, big ask ahead of him to try and stop Carlos Tata.
He does, yeah. So far in 2023, it's been the Senna Aegis show, but as we do say, Carlos Tata this weekend seems to have found another gear, fastest in every session, as Liam said, and on pole position today with Senna Aegis on, not even on the front row. 3 pole positions, well, 3 starting positions from pole, and this time he's going to be from 4th. So it's certainly not a disaster for Senna Aegis, and yesterday in Q2 he did seem to find something and go a little bit quicker than what he did in Q1, which was contrary to most of the riders. Most of them struggled yesterday to go any quicker, but this is how Carlos Tata took his first pole of the year.
Sure, we are doing a really good job. I'm really happy, but thanks to the team because they are keeping me calm. In these 2 first weekends, I did lots of mistakes, so we are learning from them. We are coming little by little, and here in Jerez we make another step. I'm really happy, and yeah, rhythm is good. Let's see tomorrow in the race. We'll try to push 100%, and let's see what we can do. This morning and this afternoon rhythm was really good. Was from racing the World Championship, so I'm really happy. Let's see tomorrow how is the temperature, if it's hot, and yeah, I will try my best, and hopefully I can give this prize to my team.
.141.862 pole position for Carlos Tata, the first time in his career, and the prize is right. He's aiming for the top prize on the podium. After pole position, he'll be going for victory number 1 of the season. Carlos Tata, the rookie in the class, came over from the Moto3 World Championship, and also a glittering junior career as well. We all know how good Carlos Tata is. He's had 2 podiums so far this year, a 2nd in SRL, a 3rd last time out, and there he is on pole position for the first time, sitting 3rd in the championship. And well, the only blot in his copybook so far is race number 2 in SRL, when he had an entanglement with Harrison Voigt at turn number 3 in race 2. Both went down, both no points scored, but Jack, Carlos Tata, he's a very difficult man to beat this weekend because, well, he's been absolutely on fire, and not even Senna Aegis could keep up with him.
Yeah, as you saw from those shots there in the little qualifying review, video. He just looks on rails this weekend. Looks like he's made a step. Of course, this is only his third event on a Moto2 bike. He's been in the Moto3 World Championship for a long time now. And coming over to the Moto2 bike, it's a little bit like the story of Alonso Lopez. Of course, Alonso unfortunately lost his ride in the Moto3 World Championship, came over here to the Moto2 European Championship and has really capitalised fantastically, and is now doing a brilliant job in Moto2 World Championship up the front and winning races.
Yes, indeed. And we just saw there the number 72 of Yari Ruiz, who has a lot of knowledge around this circuit at Jerez. He done a Moto E race here last year in the World Championship, and well, when it was called the World Cup back then, so he knows a lot about the circuit, and well, he's going for his first podium as Yari Ruiz from second on the grid. Someone that knows this circuit very well is the 27-year-old, I can't believe I'm saying that now, 27 years old for Nicolo Antonelli. A podium back in Estoril. He sits fifth in the championship. He's spent most of his life in the Moto3 World Championship, and in 2019 he took his final ever race victory in the Moto3 class right here at Jerez. So we know he's got good form around the circuit.
Yeah, I think that was a 1-2 for. He was on the 658 team back then, wasn't he, when he won that race? So certainly Antonelli knows his way around here, and proving again that he does know his ways around here, because he's on the front row once again. And from the sounds of it, at least, he's just slowly building confidence and getting used to how to ride this Moto2 bike to the way it needs to be ridden. Now, here's a man that knows exactly how to ride a Moto2 bike to the way it needs to be ridden. 17-year-old Australian Senna Aegis. Of course, there'll be lots of teams looking to get his signature for the Moto2 World Championship next year, I am sure. We've seen him have plenty of rides already in the Moto2 World Championship as fill-in riders and wildcards. But here he's been doing the business so far, but he does have a task on, as we do say here today. Heading from fourth, definitely not bad qualifying, but he looks like he's just missing that trick compared to Tata.
He does. He's missing a tenth or two here and there. And to be fair, fourth on the grid isn't too bad for Senna Aegis, as Marco Tapia gives us a wave to the camera. Hello, Marco. Yeah, Senna Aegis there. He was sitting in eighth after Q1, and as you said earlier on in the broadcast, Jack, he was really the only rider that made any sort of improvement after Q1 with it. Hotter track temperatures, a greasier track in Q2. We never really see anyone improve later on in the day, but Senna just did. And, well, we know he'll be right in the mix. Marco Tapia there, well, he was giving us a big wave to the camera. He goes from fifth on the grid. Marco Tapia, well, he had his best result of 9th place last time out in Valencia, race number 2. He's been on the podium in the European Talent Cup. And, well, I was Valencia as well, so we know he's got form in Valencia, but from fifth on the grid, he's now really starting to show what he's made of as Marco Tapia, the Spanish rider on the Yamaha Philippine Stylo Racing Team machine. And Rodriguez as well, a rider that has been consistent inside the top 10 throughout the season. 2 9th places, a 7th, 8th in the championship. And Rodriguez is a rider that we did expect a lot from last year when he came into the class. He was right up there for many races, finding himself in podium battles. Still chasing that first podium though, so he's just a little bit off the top three or four in terms of race pace, but you never know what can happen in Moto2, so you can find Rodriguez right in the scrap for the podium, or at least the top 10 here today.
Yeah, he looked very happy there, didn't he? Just quite relaxed and calm. Here's Unai Aradre, a name that if you're familiar with the Superbike World Championship, particularly 300s, you'll know who Unai Aradre is. Coming into his first year over here in Moto2 European Championship and doing a pretty good job, you have to say. He's had a personal best of 12th, which certainly is no mean feat over here, but he'll be looking to go a little bit better, I am sure. I believe this is one of his better grid positions as well. So certainly Unai Aradre, it is, yeah. His best grid position was last time out 8th, but then here he's 7th. So certainly making progress and going in the right direction. Yeah,
progress means prizes at the end of the day, and we can certainly expect some of that from Aradre someday. And someone that has lots of prizes in this class is Cardalus, the Andorran rider, 4th in the championship. He's 2nd place in Estoril. He was a rider that's had plenty of success here in the Moto2 European Championship, still chasing that first victory, which when I had to double check my notes on that, I was a little bit taken aback because he's been riding for such a long time and he's a great rider as Cardalus. So, but a little bit down in the grid at the moment in 8th spot. So not where you expect to see Cardalus starting from a Moto2 European Championship race, but we know he will be, he's a good starter as Cardalus, so we expect him to be fighting inside the top 5 right from the get-go.
Yeah, definitely. He's had a podium already this year, so he's looking like he's still got that speed that he's had in previous years to take him up to the podium. Here's Piotr Biszykierski. Good to see him back in the Moto2 European Championship. Of course, over the last few seasons, he's done all sorts of fill-in rides, mainly for the Pertamina Mandalika SAG team in the World Championship, and I think he's got a handful of decent positions there. So certainly Piotr Bishikurski's got quite a lot of experience now.
He really has done.
And is a name fairly familiar to a lot of people.
Yeah, Bishikurski has been a little bit unfortunate at the start of this year. He picked up an injury back in Estoril, so missed the racing there and in Valencia as well. But thankfully, he's here in Jerez and starting from 9th in the grid. He's been chasing his first points, a good haul of points. And Mattia Ratto, well, the person we spoke at the top of the broadcast, picked up his first podium of the season with a second place, a stunning second place in the number 13 machine. 10th in the grid, as you see there. A race of top fives, 5th, 4th, 2nd, but 10th in the grid. His qualifying did not go the way he wanted.
Yeah, definitely not. Obviously, he's got some good speed this year, and we've seen like this. He's been in the Moto2 European Championship for a few seasons now. I think this is his 4th season, and every year he's kind of taken a step forward. And obviously, that podium last time out does signify that real good step forward. So certainly, Mattia Ratto will be looking at his grid position a little bit in a disapproving way, but I'm sure that throughout the race he's going to be elbows out and charging through. Yeah,
I'll be like, I'm not used to be starting so far back here. Very impressive thing about Ratto, though, he does compete in the Italian International Supermoto Championship in the S4 class, so he's got a lot of talent, does Ratto, and we expect lots of great things from him there. The last place you just saw there was a number 55 rider of Alex Toledo on the Easy Race team. So Alex Toledo, 4th in Moto2 last year, and he, well, picked up a few podiums in 2022, so he's not really found that form again in 2023, but we've still got plenty of racing here today, and there's your man that is on pole position, Carlos Tatai, aiming for his first win of the year.
So then we're going to be clearing the grid right now, and we'll also show you the grid right now throughout who we've got here throughout the start. There's all 7 rows. Tatai then is on pole position, his first pole of the year. Ruiz, good qualifying for him for second, and also Antonelli on the front row too. He just has a little bit of work to do, not too much, but he's definitely up against it. Tapia, Rodriguez, Radre, Cardalus, and Bishikurski complete your front 3 rows of the grid. Then Ratto, Toledo, Surra, a man that last year had so much bad luck with injuries, coming over to the Moto2 European Championship and doing a decent job indeed. From Garcia, Wilford, Harry Voigt as well, he'll be looking to make amends for a couple of bad luck and crashes throughout the season so far. Then Mongiardo and Toff, the two that fought it out for, I think it was the Aprilia RS 660 trophy last year, those two. I think they even were co-champions or something. There's a bit of a crazy story with that. We'll have to mention it throughout the race. Ryu, Volpi, and Rihak and Inter completing the grid.
Some solid stats there, Gorst. Yeah, I didn't even know about that, but that's one you've had to go digging for.
Before we, well, yeah, it was. I was on the Instagrams of both Max Toff and Francesco Mongiardo, and they were in the Aprilia RS 660 Trofeo Cup thing in CIV in Italy last year, and there was a weird thing. I don't know what it was. I didn't keep up with it myself throughout the season, but going back now and finding out about it, I think that there was something where Max Toff thought he'd won the championship, and then 15 minutes later, after celebrating it all, he was told that no, he hadn't won the championship. And then there's another twist in their tail where I think they were co-champions or something. I don't know, it's crazy. Not so sure, but they're right next to each other on the grid. So hopefully those two are all okay with each other and they're not like, I'm the real champion.
You never know. They'll be turning, looking at each other, giving each other the eye, psyching each other out of position. So yeah, that's a rivalry that could have some fireworks. So let's hope in a year or two they're fighting at the front of the Moto2 Championship, and I'm sure we definitely won't get any ties or co-champions here, because we always find a way to crown at least one champion and count backs, fastest laps, whatever you like. So Moto2 European Championship race action about to get underway. 16 laps of this incredible Jerez circuit there as the riders peel into the Angel Nieto corner before the stadium section. The Martinez corner, the Jorge Martinez corner, then into the Angel Nieto corner. There is Senna Aegis, your championship leader, has won all 3 races so far. He has a 31-point lead over Ratto, but it's Carlos Tatai he's going to be keeping an eye out on from pole position on the grid. And Carlos Tatai, he is a rookie. It's his first year riding these big 600cc or 675cc machines.
765.
765. Cheers, Gorst. That's why you are the technical wizard keeping me right as well. So yeah, Senna Aegis, he is pulling around to the grid. 3 wins, 75 points for Carlos Tatai, who has been mightily impressive, has Carlos Tatai on the number 99 machine. There he is on the Pertamina Mandalika SAG Racing Team machine. He rolls up to pole position with Senna Aegis menacingly just behind him in shot there. So you know Senna Aegis is going to have his eyes glued to the back of him as the lights go out. Jari Reid, the last person to roll up to his grid slot in second, the number 72 machine on the FAL 55T racing machine. And Niccolo Antonelli on the left-hand side of the screen on the outside of the front row. He's chasing his second podium of this season. So the revs are rising. The red lights will come on as the person in the background comes off the grid, and it's a great start there from Aegis. Aegis got a great launch from fourth in the grid. He's already going for the lead. Aegis round the outside of all of them. Who's going to be Leo on the brakes? Aegis from fourth in the grid. Wow, he's already got a couple of bike lines into turn number 1. It's Carlos Tata about bumping aboard further back. Carlos Tata has been shuffled down to second, but Ruth up the outside, he's having absolutely none of it from St. Aegis, the 72 rider. He's punted the championship leader out wide, and he's got, and for company now, Carlos Tata with Niccolo Antonelli, who's finally got off the line well in 2023. He's in fourth spot, but what a launch off the line that was from St. Aegis. Here comes Tata up the inside into Cito Pont's corner. Have some of that, says Carlos Tata. And what's happened there? Whoa, on the curbs. I'm not sure if there was a bit of a moment there for Reith, and Carlos Tata just sat up to avoid it. But Carlos Tata down the back straight, up the inside of Reith, late on the brakes into Pedrosa corner, and he's done it. Aegis as well follows him through. So your top two, the two that we think will be scrapping it out for this race win, are your top two in the race. Carlos Tata leads Senna Aegis.
So that was a bit of a scrappy and what just happened type first half of a lap. So Carlos Tata then fluffed the start all the way back to third, and now he's all the way through to first, and that's about half a second on Senna Aegis, his main rival. Wow, that's someone out really wide. I think that was the number 8 of Tapia on the Stylo bike machine, I believe it was. So yeah, we were all talking about Tatai and Aegis at the start of the race, and then Jerez Ruiz went, what about me? And came right the way through to lead. And Nico Antonelli is there in 4th, and that is Garcia in 5th as well. It looks like Unai Aradre behind him. So certainly some good starts from those guys a little bit further down the order, as once again Jerez Ruiz looks to go up the inside of Senna Aegis, and he does. So the championship leader, the 100% record man for this year so far, is not having it all his own way.
Jari Reith, he's woke up this morning, he's chose violence on Senna Aegis. That's 2 and 1 lap. He's up the inside, late on the brakes of Senna Aegis. Senna Aegis looks a little bit, well, I would say a little bit, big moment there from Ruiz, but Senna Aegis isn't looking like the aggressive, fast form that we have become accustomed to in 2023. He's a little bit held back a little bit. I'm not sure if he's just not finding the confidence on the front end at the start with the new tyres, but look who's off and running. Carlos Tata, he's already got a 6/10 of an advantage as he came across the start-finish line now over Ruiz, and now that gap already looks like it's got even bigger. It's up to 0.8 of a second as he come through Sector 1. So Senna Aegis, he's got a lot of work to do now if he really wants to start catching Carlos Tata, because if he doesn't, Carlos Tata is off and running. Look at the background there. That's Niccolo Antonelli in 4th, but Roberto Garcia is in 5th spot. That's brilliant stuff from Roberto Garcia from 6th on the grid. He's moved up 1 place and he's ahead of Aradre.
Yeah, so it looks like already then Carlos Tatai has checked out. The gap is already 0.8 as he comes through the second split on this lap. He's about to come through the third one now in between turns 8 and 9. So we'll see what the gap is here. And that's definitely over a second. Tatai has gone. Incredible. So we thought that Tatai was obviously going to be the one to beat. And he's proven that he is, but we didn't expect him to pull this much in the first 2 laps. This is incredible.
Absolutely brilliant stuff by Carlos Tatai. Rookie, you must remember, only in his 4th Moto2 race, his 3rd round as a Moto2 rider. And look at this, he looks like he's been riding it for years. Absolutely brilliant stuff there from the rider on the Pertamina Mandalika SAG Racing Team machine. And Senna Aegis doesn't really have an answer for Jari Reith at the moment, so Jari Reith is doing an absolutely incredible job on the number 72 machine. Just behind them, Niccolo Antonelli, Garcia, Aradre, Xavi Cardeluz, who we did say that he usually gets a good launch off the line. He came from 8th in the grid. He's in 7th at the moment. Piotr Bishakurski on the 74 machine. He's had a cracking start. He's in 8th as Carlos Tata sets the fastest lap of the race. We didn't really need a confirmation of that. We can already see it on screen. But Jari Reith in the background, he's starting to find his form as well. Look at that gap he's already opened up over Aegis, both in the green as they come through turn at number 4. So Senna Aegis here in Jerez really doesn't have the pace that we know and have become accustomed to in Moto2 European Championship in 2023.
Yeah, so we did question whether Senna would be able to take a step overnight from qualifying through to the race. He definitely seemed like he took a step from Q1 to Q2, and usually, as we see, Garcia got the inside of Antonelli, so he gives Antonelli the business and punts him back to 5th place. But Senna, yeah, we did wonder if there would be another step coming, and well, we thought from the start that maybe there was, but now we're just seeing that quite possibly he's still just lacking that little bit. Of course, we know that Tatai has been clearing away better. Here's the start then from Jerez Ruiz. Lovely little launch that. I think he was pretty quick off the line compared to Antonelli there in 3rd place, but it was Senna Aegis that got a brilliant launch. Tapia there in the background was a little bit crossed up and sideways and off balance on the blue styler bike. Cardaluz came storming up the inside of Unai Aradre. And then it got very close there between, I think it was Tapia and Cardaluz on the entrance to turn 1.
Look at that start by Senna Aegis on the right-hand side of your screen. Just got it lit up and gripped from the launch as Carlos Tatai struggled to get off the line. But
there was a little bit of contact further back there, yeah. One of the stylo bikes.
That might have been Harrison Voigt. He started far down the grid. He looks like he's been shuffled all the way back there. But yeah, Carlos Tatai leads the race at the moment. 42.437. That was only a couple of tenths faster than your man in second, Yanni Reid, on the 72 machine there. So even though he's still eking out the gap ever so slightly, it's not as big as it was a couple of laps ago. The gap is eking out is not as big. But there again, Yanni Reid running on the green, and we've seen that in the decide, basically the podium for the European Talent Cup race. We won't give away the result, but that did have a big impact on the European Talent Cup race that we've just had when one of the riders ran on the green 3 times, and then he was given a warning. He did it again, so he was given a penalty. So that if Yanni Reid doesn't start reining it in ever so slightly through turn number 4, he could be on the receiving end of a penalty. As we've got a rider down in the background. Who could that be? That might have been Cardaluz potentially.
Not sure if it was Cardaluz.
Bishakursky returning from an injury at the start of the season. Bishakursky running in 8th spot. He's gone down, and that's such a shame for the Polish rider. He was looking absolutely brilliant at the start of this race.
Yeah, so he's joined just behind then Filip Rehacek, I believe. So at least he's been all okay. What did he do? He was wide, really wide, and just lost the front on the dirty part of the track there. So that's unfortunate then for Piotr Bishakursky on the number 74 machine, but he'll be right at the back now, and any hope of points are fairly slim at the minute. Speaking of the points, I think the last points playing position at the minute is Gerard Riou in 15th, and he's got Sam Wilford about a second up the road ahead of him in 14th.
Yeah, such a shame for Sam Wilford. He's not really gelled with the track this weekend, down in 14th spot. Still sort of recovering from an injury picked up last year.
We have to go into that, don't we? Because obviously Sam Wilford, I'm sure that the guys earlier on in the season would have told you, but Sam Wilford had a horrendous crash in Estoril last year, really beat himself up, broke a lot of bones and had some real severe injuries to get over, and he still is recovering from. So certainly working his way in. It's such a shame as well for Wilford, because at the start of last season he looked like he'd made a real step forward, and now just still trying to recover that speed that he looked like he had gained.
Yeah, it's a big shame for Sam Wilford. We hope to see him back to his brilliant best in the future and continue that recovery as well. There's a number 18 of Xavi Cardaluz. He's worked his way through to 5th now, so we knew he was a bit out in position when he was starting from 8th in the grid. He's just ahead of Nicola Antonelli, so Antonelli's lost a couple of positions in the last couple of laps to Garcia, as we saw into turn number 6, Pedrosa corner a couple of laps ago. He's also lost out to Xavi Cardaluz, and he's got Radri and Sura. Sura picked up a 4th place at the start of the season, and he's all over the back of his fellow countryman and also fellow Moto3 World Championship rider from last year, Nicolo Antonelli. Now Radri, he's climbing all over the back, making himself known to Nicolo Antonelli that he's there as well. The gap between Ruiz and Senna Aegis has come down ever so slightly. Last lap, Aegis was a 1/10 of a second quicker, and it was his best lap of the race, so he's now starting to find his form. He was still 3/10 of a second off this man on screen, the number 99 of Carlos Tatai, backing it beautifully into Lorenzo corner to click off another lap as it come across the line.
Oh, that's Harrison Voigt.
He was in the 11th spot after a horrible start, so he's crashed out. Not sure what turn that might be. That might be the back of behind the pits at turn 11, 12 area. So if he's gone down there, that was a very fast crash, and he's very lucky to walk away from that. Okay, but after a positive start to the season in 3rd in race 1 at Estoril, he's had nothing but misfortune. Yeah, taken out in race number 2 at Estoril by Tatai when he was in 2nd. crashed out after a long lap penalty in Valencia, and he's now crashed out here as well. So we know Harrison Voigt has got the potential, he's got the speed, so and we know he'll be back fighting once again for the top spots next time out in Portimao.
Yeah, definitely just a bit of a shame there for Harrison Voigt. Here's Roberto Garcia then. He's in that 4th position. He's got a train of riders all behind him. He's got the, well, should we call him the veteran? He is the veteran.
He is the veteran, yeah. He's the old man of the class.
Of course, he's been around for a long time, did a full season in World Championship as well with the Aspar team, I think in 2019. Yeah, and he's got a whole bunch of riders lining up behind him. At the back of that group is Alberto Sorra. It looks like he's just struggling to cling onto the back of it. Of course, the same with Tatai. Alberto Sorra, this is only his 3rd event on a Moto2 bike. You've got to say as well, for Sorra, that's just a rider that is needing to build confidence slowly after a pretty horrendous 2022 season with injuries. I think he injured his right hand. He broke his right hand at the Americas GP. Then he went and broke his foot in Mugello, and then he went and broke that right hand again in Aragon. I mean, poor guy, like really been through the ringer in 2022. And 2023, so far, it has looked a little bit better. He's running now in 9th place and definitely getting better as Cardelus snaking into the final corner.
Garcia's having none of that. No. Oh, the boat sliding coming out in the final corner. Xavi Cardelus shakes his head. I don't know if it's at himself or the way Garcia just lit up the rear end coming out of the final corner. It was like, wow, buddy, that was impressive. So yeah, number 35, Sam Welford, we mentioned him earlier on. He's now down in the 13th spot after that crash from Harrison Voigt. But this is getting a little bit tasty now. Ooh, Cardelus looks up the inside at turn number 2.
I think one of them went wide there. There might have been Rato went a little bit wide, but I'm not too sure. As we look back to Wilford, he's up into 13th. He must have picked off Monchiado at some point, and now he's on the back of Marco Tapia.
Yeah, it's such a shame for Marco Tapia. He looked really good in qualifying, yes. He looked very good at the start of this race as well. Had a bit of a horrible start to the race, and he's not really recovered from that. So he's just ahead of Sam Welford. Sam Welford, on that last lap, was in the 1:43s. So Sam Welford's actually starting to pick up his pace a little bit. It's Rato on the number 13, late on the brakes, looks up the inside of Nico Antonelli. Nico Antonelli just didn't respect that, and he just left him the biggest door of all time to come through. So Nico Antonelli's been shuffled down another spot now. He's now down into 7th. Rato, who was a little bit out of position, starting 10th in the grid, picked up a podium last time out in Valencia. He's now really starting to find his form. He's just behind Cardelus. Cardelus looking up the inside of Roberto Garcia, who's also started to find his form once again after what we saw from last year. Was a rider that really started to come into his own in the middle part to the last half of 2022. So number 31 is holding off the number 18 and the number 13. Look at that, as close as you like coming through turns 11 and 12. Just ahead of them is Senna Aegis, who looked like he was right on the back. Ooh, who's going to be on this? No way can Carlos Tata, can Xavi Cardelus go around the outside of Roberto Garcia. He doesn't. So last lap they had a bit of a moment into that corner. This time it was all nice and clean, as squeaky as you like.
Yeah, this big group that are all battling out for 4-4. As we look at Cardelus, has gone up the inside into turn 1. Yeah, just pointing across the timing screen. It's actually the first lap where Carlos Tatai was slower than the 2 riders behind him. He did a 42.9. Jerez Ruiz was at a 42.7, and Senna Aegis set his personal best as well at 42.6. So I wonder if it's just Tatai's clicked off into preservation mode, just got the rhythm going and running a decent enough pace, or whether now we are seeing a bit of a turn of the tide.
Yeah, well, he's a rookie in the class. Maybe he's still just trying to learn that little bit about tyre conservation. I mean, we saw in Valencia last time out that even when we've had a rider go down, Jerez Ruiz, just it was all changing. There was a split moment on our timing monitor there. Jerez Ruiz went out off it for a split second. Senna Aegis, he's into second, but in the background there, it looked like Jerez Ruiz got back up the inside of Senna Aegis. So, yeah, starting to now heat up between these two for second and third. Last time round, as Jack said, they were the fastest riders on track.
Someone
got right down as Juan Rodriguez. That's such a shame. Juan Rodriguez on the number 38 machine. Yeah, he's had a difficult start to the season. He won 2 races in the European Stock 600s last year, but he's not really been able to convert that into...
Senna's going to have a look at it. Ooh, he thought about it down into turn 11. That would have been a brave one through there. One of the, well, I think the corner where you need the most courage.
Yeah, 100%.
It's the correct way to put it, as he looks down now again in the inside, down to Lorenzo. But Jerez Ruiz just doing enough on the brakes to be able to withstand the pressure from the Australian for now.
Yeah, Senna Ages started to get the feeling he's maybe getting held up a little bit by Jari Reith on this lap. That time round, they must have been scrapping a lot, because that time round they were almost a second slower than your race leader, Carlos Tata. That gap is now up to 3 seconds now. So Jari Reith, I think when he has Senna Ages come past him, he sees red and he snaps back immediately. So Senna Ages has to make that move. If he tries to make that move, has to make it, but he also has to make it stick and not give Reith any chance of coming back underneath him. So has really held them up on that lap. Senna Ages, your championship leader there on the number 81. Liqui Moly Husqvarna Intact GP racing team, or junior team, as his team look on. So powering down the back straight, can he look up the inside? He doesn't seem close enough on this lap. He sets up ever so slightly. So Senna Ages, you have a feeling that he will shape up a move pretty soon, but he's just shaping up where is the best for Ruiz. Senna Ages ran a little bit deep into Pedrosa corner there, but Carlos Tata, there's nothing we can say that's not been, that will give him gleaming praise, because he has been absolutely perfection so far this weekend and in this race as well. So he's on charge for his first win in the European Moto2 Championship. And as you mentioned earlier on, Jack, this is a class we've really seen a lot of riders that have sort of become stagnated in Moto3 have come over to this class and really rebuilt their career. So Alonso Lopez has been one. We've had Fermin Aldeguer being another as well. We've had, Lucas Tulovic, last year's champion. He's moved back into the Moto2 World Championship and doing fairly well, always consistently in the points. And you can guess that Carlos Tata will be hoping to do the same.
Yeah, definitely. I mean, there's another parallel to be drawn as well, particularly from Carlos Tata to Alonso Lopez, because Alonso Lopez, in that year where he was in Moto2 European Championship, it was really dominated by Fermin Aldeguer, his younger teammate. And it wasn't until here in Jerez when Alonso Lopez finally got his first race win of the season and beat Aldeguer. And now we're seeing this again with Carlos Tata and Senna Ages, where Senna Ages has been dominating the series so far. Of course, we're quite early in the series still, but Tata now at round 3, wow, Senna has a big moment all the way out to the curb. Gets a little bit unsettled as the rear wheel grips up. But now we're seeing that Tata is able to take it to Aegis, and also, as we see, Jari Ruiz, who's fighting for his first podium in the class. Yeah,
it's great stuff from Jari Ruiz, holding off your championship leader, the dominant force that has been Senna Ages. Just watching Senna, it just doesn't look as comfortable, as relaxed, as smooth, as flowing as he usually does on that bike. He looks a little bit tense going through some of the corners. Oh, something's fallen off the back of Xavi Cardoso's machine there. I'm not sure what that was. Maybe just like a fairing cover, maybe a cover for the back mudguard. So yeah, hopefully that went off track, but not quite sure what that was. We might get a replay of it to see exactly what it was, but he's now come under pressure from Rato, who has really started to find his form in this race so far. Started 10th in the grid, a little bit further back. He's chasing what will be another top 4 for Rato, his 4th of the season, and Carlos almost running out in the green there.
Yeah, definitely some good pace being shown against one by Rato. You see that even on that lap behind, Carlos doing a 43 flat, and kind of the top guys in this race are doing kind of mid to high 42, so he's really not that far off the next step of where he needs to be. So certainly doing a good job, and as we say, coming from 10th as well. You've got to get busy to come from 10th to 5th in the Moto2 European Championship. So look again then at Carlos Tata. What more can we say? Well, he's about as cool as calm as his colleague there, taking a casual sip of water.
Or as cool as calm as that bottle of water, which we can imagine has been very cool or very hot day today.
But yeah, certainly Tata, just everything under control. His lead is out to 3.6 seconds now. A little bit of an update on Piotr Bisikursky, because as we said, there wasn't much hope of points. Well, he's thrown that out the window because he's in 15th. So good job from Piotr Bisikursky to remount, get back on and stick in some solid lap times to get a small reward out of this race after crashing out early on.
Yeah, it's ahead of Volpe, Rehacek and Inter on the SF Racing machine. Another shout out to Sam Wilford. He's now found a bit of form, and Senna Ages looks up the inside of Ruth. That's a block by. Oh, chops the nose off the front of them. You're not supposed to do that, but he doesn't care. He wants a second place as it pops a bit of a wheelie before going into turn number 7. Now Senna Ages, he's had a look a couple of times on Ruth. He's really got to start inventing something to. Oh, I love a bit of a moment there, I thought, from Ruth.
Turned it tight there.
Yeah, he did, didn't he? Wow, so Ruth there, he's really fighting hard for this one here, as you should, because every points make prizes and you never know what can happen in this race. 5.5 laps remaining and Ruth is fighting for everything he can get. A second place is definitely better than a third, but you don't want to chuck any of that away for a podium position.
You do get the feeling that if Senna can get past Ruiz he's got the pace to pull away from him a little bit. He's going to look now. This is a pretty good run through turn 12, up the inside at turn 13, finally into Lorenzo corner. Looked like he was just chatting right there on the way in. Ruiz got a pretty good exit, but Senna's going to motor it around the outside and finally get into that second position. I'm sure he's big sigh of relief after that, because it looked like behind him he was just struggling to force the front enough to dive up the inside. Yeah,
that might have been a move that was a little bit too late, because Carlos Tata is now 4.0 seconds up the road from this battle for seconds here. So finally Senna Aegis has got to the front of that battle, and Jari Ruiz is climbing all over the back of Senna Aegis as well, so he's not giving this one up just yet. And look at them sliding through turn number 4 into Sito Pon's corner. Here comes Ruiz again. Wow, here we go. We've got fire in our hands now. Senna Aegis is really good. Oh no, it's going to turn it tight. I thought they were going to touch there as he went for the curb, the apex of the corner, powering down the back straight into Pedrosa corner. Now we saw Senna Aegis look up the inside one lap ago, but Ruiz chopped the front, or chopped the nose off the front of that machine. Bit of a bobble on the brakes for both of them, but managed to get it squared up correctly. And Jari Ruiz is still holding that, but I'm going to have a look at the battle behind. Last lap, Xavi Cardelus and Mattia Ratto were half a second quicker than both this group in front of them, so they're only 2.4 seconds back. If they scrap as much as they are, just you can see in the background there. Aegis! Wow, where did that come from?
Ruiz there.
He really did. They both make it through the corner, they did indeed, but that scrap is going to continue on, as we've got a crash for rider number 98, that's Inta, he was at the back of the field. Crash at number 11, the rider okay, so thankfully it was good to hear that coming through the corner now. But Senna Aegis, he really did surprise Ruiz there. I don't expect Ruiz saw that coming whatsoever. What can Ruiz do to retaliate there? He's climbing all over the back into Pedrosa corner. We know he's good in the brakes as Ruiz, but not quite as good just yet as Senna Aegis.
No, definitely not. Looks as though he's now got it up against him to be able to bite back Senna Aegis. Just looking at the timing screens off screen, somewhere Max Toft did retire, so for the American fans out there, Max Toft looks like he's retired. There's number 98 Channon Inter. That's unfortunate for him on the FS Racing machine. But Max Toft, I'm reliably informed actually, obviously he's part of the American Racing Academy, but he also spends time working as a Bell Helmets technician between the races, so certainly working for his ride. We love to see a little bit of effort being put in. Here's the same corner where before he did make a move, and it looks as though it's going to be role reversal of the group behind, not quite. Mattia Ratto looking up the inside there of Cardelus, but not quite able to pinch through there into 4th place just yet.
Now, it'll be interesting to see what Senna Aegis can do now that he has sort of remained ahead of Ruiz, but Ruiz is still climbing all over the back of the Australian, the 17-year-old who will be expecting, or be hoping to have celebrated his 18th birthday, which is happening in 1 week's time. A little bit better than this, but a good championship lead in the Moto2 European Championship. Also a 2nd place is not too bad.
Speaking of birthdays, we do have to say a quick happy birthday for Wednesday this week to Alberto Sora as well. He's turned 19, the young Italian.
Yeah, very young riders here in the Moto2 European Championship. Some big names for the future. Aegis is going to be one of them. Carlos Tata. Oh, moment there from Xavi Carlos. And we've got Ratto looking at the inside. He's rattled him and he's made a mistake. So there we go. Mattia Ratto all over the back of Xavi Carlos. Ruiz still over the back of Senna Aegis. Into Pedrosa corner. Senna Aegis got a little bit defensive there. It looked like he was a bit wide on entry there, so Ruiz, he's all over the back. He's gunning for your championship leader, but gunning for victory is Carlos Tata, and it's so impressive as this young Spanish rider. Incredible what he's been able to do so far this year. So topped every single session, top qualified, and so far, barring any mistakes, with a 2.5 laps remaining, he will be on course for victory numero uno here in the Moto2 European Championship. And he just looks great on that bike, doesn't he?
He does, yeah, and as you say, if he does go on to convert this 4.5 second lead to his first victory,
no, he's gone for a wow, look at that, turn that tight, sunshine, wow, incredible there from Jari Ruiz. Senna Aegis didn't expect that. He's coming alongside him again, down towards Pedrosa corner. Who's going to be last of the late breakers? Is it Aegis? It's not Aegis, it's Ruiz. And this group behind him, as Ratto now moves into 4th, are closing in even more. It's only 1.7 between this group and the group ahead.
Yeah, they're definitely closing the gap now, but I think they might just run out of time. Got 2.5 laps to go, and they've taken about 6 or 7 tenths out in the last 2 laps. So it could be close. If there's a little bit more chaos between these two we see on screen right now, then it might get a little bit squeaky, shall we say, on the last lap for Jari Ruiz and also Senna Aegis. Certainly for Carlos Tatai out front, he is calm, cool, relaxed, all of those kinds of words, because he's got a 4.5 second lead. As we do look across the Yari Ruiz's team, they're not looking too worried just yet, but they might be now with Senna Aegis looking at the inside down into turn 13, the final corner, Lorenzo corner. But no, once again, Yari Ruiz just seems to have a slight edge on the brakes compared to Senna Aegis.
He's been really impressive this weekend, has Ruiz, on the brakes, especially on the brakes, especially into some of the corners you don't expect. The Cito Pons corner, he's just turned it underneath Senna Aegis on a couple of occasions. Aegis really, well, he's sort of shown his hand already, surprising him into the Angel Nieto corner a few laps ago. So Ruiz is going to be expecting that now. So he's going to have to try and surprise him somewhere else. We've never seen him move into turn number 4 or into turn number 3. He may be trying to invent something there as well. But further back, yeah, 1.6 seconds with a lap and a bit to go and a lap and a half to go. Oh, Aegis out in the green there as well. So he's really motoring on as Senna Aegis, trying everything he can. He looks a little bit uncomfortable compared to Ruiz. Ruiz looks a lot smoother, a lot more calm in that number 72 machine compared to Senna Aegis.
I mean, we've seen Senna now run nice little bit of slipstream there down into turn 6, but not going to be close enough. We've seen him now a few times through turn 5. He runs out onto the curb there. Is Mattia Rato going to go wide? No, he pulls it down to late apex. Lovely stuff. But Senna's been going wide a couple of times, and then also we saw in the lap previous where Ruiz just turned it under him at turn 5. It looks as though Ruiz is much better through the middle of the corner at least than Senna, and you can see that now that he's pulling a bit of a gap on him. I think possibly late on in this race, maybe Senna's just struggling a little bit more with his tyres.
Yeah, it looks like he might be coming into some tyre difficulties, does it? Senna Aegis. Still very good on the brakes. It closes up a lot when Ruiz does initially hit the brake, but Ruiz, as we said, has been absolutely magnificent so far here today. The battle for 4th isn't done and dusted just yet. Rato has got Cardelus all over the back of him. What an impressive ride it has been from Mattia Rato, to be honest. From 10th in the grid, he looked nowhere all weekend, all at sea, and he's managed to climb his way back up into 4th. 1 lap to go for someone that's not all at sea, unless you think that he's all off on his own. It starts the last lap, the number 99 of the Pertamina Mandalika SAG Racing Team machine. He's on course for race victory number 1 on only his 4th race here in the Moto2 European Championship. Carlos Tatai has been absolutely outstanding. Barring a mistake, he's just powering through turn number 4. Absolutely brilliant to watch that is. Further back, it looks like Ruiz has a couple of bike lengths advantage over Senna Aegis as we watch Carlos Tatai come through turn number 5 and then power down the straight into Pedrosa corner. Half a lap to go for the number 99 as he's on course for victory number 1.
Yeah, obviously this will be a huge release of kind of weight on his shoulders for Carlos Tatai. He hasn't won a race since he was in the Moto3 Junior World Championship, as it was called back then. This very same paddock back in 2019, and also when he won the Red Bull Rookies Cup in 2019 too. So certainly Carlos Tatai, it's been a long time between first place podium drinks.
Wow.
Hang on, Ruiz. You could get a podium as well, but don't throw it down the road in the final lap. Senna Aegis looks as though maybe he could do a late lunge down into turn 13, but with a championship already on his mind, surely you'd think he'd take the 16 points for 3rd place, but you never know because he's right at the back of him now.
16 points is still better than 0 points, so you might be thinking about that, but 25 points is what everyone wants, and Carlos Tatai is well on his way. 1 corner to go as he comes through the exit. Carlos Tatai knows he's done it. He pops a wheelie. He does. What a man. As he comes across the line, Carlos Tatai is a race winner in the Moto2 European Championship. Ruiz holds on. He does it ahead of Senna Aegis, who finishes 3rd, and Rato just holds off Xavi Cardelus for 4th spot. But Carlos Tatai, take a bow, son. You have been absolutely outstanding all weekend. You don't see it often, but he's led every single session as he kisses the sky. Antonelli
crashed on the last lap.
From 8th place, Antonelli. What happened there? It was such a good ride from Antonelli after he was shuffled back. But Carlos Tatai, you cannot deny how brilliant he's been. And now, with that victory under his belt, we can see lots more of that opening up for him further down the line. He's congratulated by your championship leader, Senna Aegis, who has been a little bit off colour this weekend. Only 3rd place from him. He was a little bit outdone by Yari Ruiz as he pops a wheelie. He knows it's good points for the championship. He'll take that, and he'll move on to the next race in Portimao.
Yeah, I think we can see that big release of pressure from Carlos Tatai there. How he celebrated on and is celebrating on the cool-down lap. It's been a long, long time since he's been on the top step of a podium, so I'm sure there's going to be a big celebration down in Parc Fermé when we go down there in a second. So congratulations to Carlos Tatai. Tip of the hat there for Mattia Rato as well. Everybody knows that was one hell of a ride.
Oh, incredible ride, incredible indeed. And the two riders are absolutely over the moon there. Carlos Tatai, your race winner. Jari Ruiz, second place. What a ride. We've not seen that too much from Jari Ruiz at all. And his best result was a 4th place before then. And it was just went and grabbed himself a first ever podium, and what a way to do it. Not just doing it by being a little bit lucky. He's done it with having the great pace, having a brilliant ride, and also under intense pressure from this man on screen. Senna Aegis, your championship leader, doesn't get more intensified, more pressurified than that as well. So Senna Aegis, 3rd place here today. So his 100% winning streak has come to an end, but he'll take that. A very Valentino Rossi-esque stick out the leg wheelie from Senna Aegis. Became a custom celebration of Valentino Rossi throughout his career, and Senna Aegis has adopted it. And well, if you're leading championships as brilliantly as Senna Aegis is and winning races, then by all means, I'm sure Valentino Rossi would be more than happy to lend off that signature wheelie to Senna Aegis. Great racing action so far here in the Finetwork FIM Junior GP World Championship. Moto 2 has just finished for the day. We had European Talent Cup race number 1 before then, and at the start of the proceedings we had Junior GP as well. They'll be coming up next for race number 2, but before then we're going to have all of the celebrations with the top 3 down in Parc Fermé. We'll have an interview with this man on screen, Carlos Tatai. He'll be speaking to Jack Gorst in a few moments' time, and you can imagine from the celebrations it has been, well, relief getting that monkey off the back. No victory in any class since 2019 when he competed in the Red Bull Rookies Championship, winning that, and also victory in the CEV Moto3 Championship as it was then. Look at the celebrations, look at the emotions. Carlos Tatai, wow, that was a big win, and it's great to see when a rider has just finally won his first race. He lets out the emotions, and well, you can imagine there'll be absolutely no one as happy as the number 99 Spanish rider. Big leap into the arms of his team and his mechanics. It's a big team effort in all of motorcycle races. It's not just the rider, it's not just the bike, it's also the people around you that you have to, well, have on board that are pushing just as much as you are. And look at Jari Ruiz. Yeah, he's broken the back of that one. He's broken the duck off the back with not being able to finally crack the podium. He's done it now, and you can imagine that's going to open the floodgates for Jari Ruiz and plenty of podiums down the line, and for the FAL 55 T racing team as well. Celebration smells a lot bit for Senna Aegis and his mechanics. They're used to winning. They took Luka Tilovic to the championship this year. They expect to be taking Senna Aegis to the title in 2023. So they know it was a difficult weekend. The 3rd place, that's the best they could possibly do. Struggled in qualifying yesterday, only managed to bag a 4th at the very end in Q2. And, well, he'll be there to fight another day, but then he's got to be looking over his shoulder. This man here, Carlos Tatai, who has now just uncovered the winning feeling in the Moto2 European Championship. A cracking wheelie over the line, powering down the straight. Very, very, I'll give you 10 out of 10 for that, Carlos. You were brilliant all weekend, and your wheelie was as well. You can hear the celebrations in the background. It's cheering for Carlos Tatai. And there's the team as well. They could not be happier at all. Cool, calm and collected was Carlos Tatai all weekend and in that race, especially when he had a bad start. That's the only blot in his copybook from all weekend, was a start that wasn't quite up to scratch compared to Senna Aegis and Jari Ruiz, but it wasn't long before he retook the lead into turn number 6 on the first lap, into Pedrosa corner. He retook the lead from Jari Ruiz and never looked back. Led every single lap, fastest lap, pole position, as good as you like. And he'll move on to Portimao, where he will hope to make the challenge for the championship over Senna Aegis even greater as well. So we'll head down to Parc Fermé, where Jack Gorst is with a first-time Moto2 European Championship winner, Carlos Tatai.
Carlos, I'm sure you're absolutely thrilled. That's your first win in Moto European Championship and first win for quite some time. Just tell us how you're feeling.
Yeah, I can't describe with words. I mean, I had 3 really difficult years, and then winning again after 3 years, coming back to the European Championship. It was really difficult, but I had a really good team, really good environment. So thanks to them, because this is thanks to them.
And then just in Spanish as well for us, please.
Bueno, la verdad que súper contento. Solo los que han estado conmigo saben los 3 años de, iba a decir un taco, pero me lo callo. 3 años muy duros, 3 años donde he aprendido mucho, y por fin volver a luchar por una victoria es algo que agradezco mucho, y sobre todo esta victoria se la dedico, aunque ya no estemos juntos, se la dedico a mi ex-manager David Calabuch, que gracias a él desde pequeñito me enseñó cómo había que ir rápido en este circuito, y así lo he hecho.
Congratulations, Carlos.
Gracias, David.
Big smiles all round for Carlos Tata as he becomes a race winner in Moto2 European Championship, and this is how he did it. Got a turbo launch off the line, Senna Aegis hooked it all up and took the lead into turn number 1 ahead of Reith, but Reith wasn't having any of it. Into turn number 2, he took over at the front before a cracking move on Senna Aegis from Carlos Tata took him into second spot. Before a corner later, he found himself in the lead of the race. Reith was fighting back for second over Senna Aegis into turn at number 13. Lorenzo corner on lap number 1 as Carlos Tata darted off into the lead. Piotr Nobishkiewicz, he came to the end of his race before he remounted, actually before he got back on the bike at turn at number 6. But further back you had Garcia, Sura, Cardelus all battling over 4th place before Rato got in the mix in the number 13 machine as well. So great scraps going on all the way through down the field, but Carlos Tata was off and running. A bit of debris fell off the back of Xavi Cardelus in the number 18 machine as the marshals run on track to pick it up before anyone else comes through. The number 98 went down, that was Inta at the back of the grid. Not looking happy, there was Inta. Moment there for Xavi Cardelus with only a few laps to go. That gave Rato the momentum to chase after the Andorran rider. Senna just surprised Yari Reith into Angel Nieto, but it wasn't long before Yari Reith pulled this incredible move, turning it tight up the inside at Sito Pond on Senna Aegis, and that consolidated his second place. But no one could lay a glove on Carlos Tata, the number 99 machine rider. Bob Tawili as he came across the line to record his first ever victory in the Moto2 European Championship. Reith with a best result of second place held off Senna Aegis, your championship leader. Then it was Rato and Cardelus running in the top 5 as celebrations kicked off in the Pertamina Mandalika SAG racing team as Carlos Tata rode the emotions of his first win in the class. So the podium riders will make their way out to receive their prizes. And what a day of racing it has been for the Moto2 European Championship. We saw plenty of this man on the pit wall, being all cool, calm, collected, a little bit emotional, but all happy. Senna Aegis is rolling on to the next one, not looking too happy, does the young 17-year-old. He'll be turning 18 in a couple of weeks' time. Contrast that with Yari Reith, who's absolutely overjoyed, and especially Carlos Tata. 2 men in the podium that can't believe their luck and are absolutely overjoyed. Senna Aegis a little bit subdued there, gives a handshake to Carlos Tata as we have the director of Circuito de Jerez, Angel Nieto, handing over the winner's trophy to the team, the Pertamina Mandalika SAG racing team. That is their first win of the season, and you can imagine there's going to be plenty more. Senna Aegis picks up a trophy that he's never actually received, the Moto2 European Championship. 3rd place for him. Every single race he's finished before then was either a 1st or 2nd place, so he's going to be putting that one on the mantelpiece. A little bit away from the rest of them as he's chasing the number 1 prize. Yari Reith, look at the smile from Yari Reith, the number 72 rider, points to the sky, and yes, he is 2nd place, and you can imagine with that confidence he'll be chasing victories later on, but no one could chase this rider for victory. Carlos Tata is your race winner. He only is 4th race in the class, and he's already a race winner, and plenty more to come from Carlos Tata.
El himno nacional de España. Fuerte el aplauso para Carlos Tatay.
Well, it's all getting a little bit emotional in here, isn't it? Of course, Carlos Tatay there, absolutely overcome with emotion, and rightly so. His first win since the final race of his 2019 FIM CV, as it was back then, Moto3 Junior World Championship campaign, where he finished second in the championship that year as well. So it's been a long, long time coming for Carlos Tatay to stand back on top of the box again, and as you can see, rightly so, incredibly emotional. He's a rider, of course, that back then in 2019 came with so much talent and promise and hype. He won the Red Bull Rookies Cup that year, finished second, as I do say, in the Junior World Championship in the Moto3 class, now JuniorGP, and came into the Moto3 World Championship with a lot of expectation. He did a couple of wild cards that year in 2019 as well, and from memory I think he scored points on both occasions, and then just in Moto3 and throughout his career in the last 3 years, it just hasn't quite clicked. He picked up one podium in Indonesia, of course, where now, as we do see, he has the Indonesian flag wrapped around him with a Pertamina Mandalika SAG team. So Carlos Tatay, you have to say, a huge congratulations and well done to that man, because he really has worked hard. And now the pundits are paying off for him. So there you go then, Carlos Tatay takes his first win in the Moto2 European Championship ahead of Jerez Ruiz, who takes his first podium, and he was equally as overcome with emotion. Senna certainly a bit more subdued in third from Rato. Cardaluz, Garcia, Surab 7th, great ride from him. That's one of his best of the season. Unai Radre and Alex Toledo. Francesco Mongiardo, that's probably his best of the season, I do believe. From Marco Tapia, Sam Wilford recovered through to 12th in the end for Gerard Riu, and Piotr Biszczykowski picked up 2 points after crashing early on at turn 6. From Matteo Volpi, the last points paying position, and the last cross a line, Filip Riecek, with Antonelli unfortunately crashing out on the very last lap from 8th place, I do believe. So how does that affect the championship then? Well, it's still quite a big lead for Senna Aegis. He's certainly not got anything to worry about just yet. 30 points is the gap to Carlos Tatay, or Matteo Rato there, just 4 further back. Jerez Ruiz is now in 4th as well, with Cardaluz, Antonelli, Toledo, Surra and Garcia, your top 9, with Garcia down there on 23 points. 68 back from the 91 of Senna Aegis. Juan Rodriguez, he unfortunately crashed out of this one as well. He's in 10th for the championship, with Sam Wilf picking up more points to add to his tally. Marco Tapia, Harrison Voigt, who really now needs a good result next time out after 3 non-scores in a row. Unai Radre, Mongiardo, Volpi and Riu. And Carl Paz, I'll try that one again, sorry, Vugnarek, and Piotr Biszczykowski and Chanon Inter. So total elation then for Carlos Tatay. Brilliant scenes as he stands atop of his Moto2 machine, and he now is a Moto2 European Championship winner. Of course, only one race for him today. He'll be a little bit disappointed with that, as he is on fine form here this weekend. But next time out, I'm sure that he'll be back on form with a renewed confidence now after his first win in almost 4 years. Incredible. And you could just see what that meant to him as the tears flowed atop the podium here in Jerez. Carlos Tatay is your winner. Congratulations.